Hallo und herzlich willkommen zurück zu einer weiteren Folge Chäos Head Noah. Und ich entschuldige mich schon mal im Voraus, meine Stimme ist irgendwie aktuell nicht so, beziehungsweise leicht angeschlagen. N ja, beim letzten Mal hatten wir ja einen kompletten Zusammenbruch und Rimi hat uns dann geholfen. Beziehungsweise Rimi hat gesagt, dass sie in Anführungszeichen auf uns aufpassen wird, damit wir nicht allein sind, weil wir den kompletten Nervenzusammenbruch halt hatten. Und dafür müssen wir halt mit Rimi jetzt in Anführungszeichen einkaufen gehen, weil sie noch eine CD sucht. Offenbar. Okay, as we entered the shop, Rimi headed straight towards the indie section. Unlike the J-pop section, there weren't many customers there. Rimi stopped in front of shelf P and then started looking for the CD she wanted, Phantasm. But after a minute of browsing, her shoulders slumped.
やっぱりないな。
An indie group whose name started with P, could it be?
タクはファンタズムってバンドを知ってる？今話題になってるけど。
Hey, war doch so richtig mit Phantasm. So it was them. How could I not know them? I had even gone to see their concert and I owned a CD. I nodded and Rimi smiled.
私、そういう情報は結構疎くて、最近になって知ったんだ。それで友達に借りようかと思ったんだけど、なかなか手に入らないらしくて、誰も持ってないんだよ。
Taku hat eine.
だから CD 買うしかないかなって思って、ここ1週間ぐらいあちこち探してみたんだけど、どこも売り切れ中。次はいつ入るんだろう。
Komm.
僕持ってる。
Der Blick von ihr. Was? Rimis Eis wird weit so. Was? Du hast eine CD von so einer Band? Wie? Ist die heute jetzt komplett zugefroren?
持ってるって CD?
Nein, die Band. Doch. I showed her a nod. And when I did that, Rimi. Komm. Delusion kick in. Wir wollen Delusion Spaß haben. Put her hands on my shoulders. She suddenly brought her face in close to mine, which immediately made me flustered. The sweet smell of shampoo wafting from Rimi's hair tickled my nose and I felt my face turning red.
ねえタク、取引しよう。
A deal?
その CD 貸してくれたら、見返りに私。
Und jetzt kickt die Delusion in. She looked at me, her expression dead serious. I gulped. She will what? What's she going to do? Komm, Delusion kick in. Das müsste jetzt aber wieder verschwommen sein. Das heißt, das ist jetzt wieder eine richtige Delusion wahrscheinlich. Jupp, wieder das Verschwommene. Das heißt, das ist jetzt wieder eine richtige Delusion. Yumi's cheeks flushed slightly in embarrassment. And then, having seemingly made up her mind, she whispered something to me.
私のこと好きにしていいよ。
Boah, Junge. When I understood the meaning behind her words, my brain stopped computing. I couldn't tell if she was joking or being serious. I tried to look away, but before I could,
しゃがんで。
Rumi glanced at our surroundings and pressed down on my shoulders hard, without really knowing why I obeyed her. What the heck? I crouched down and leaned against the CD shelf, hugging my knees. Rumi also crouched down in front of me. I was completely lost. What was she planning?
膝伸ばして。
Did she want me to sit directly on the floor? I didn't want to act like such a Dukuan, but Rimi didn't wait for my consent. She grabbed both my calves and forced my legs to straighten out. I couldn't stop myself from sliding down to the floor. Alter, ey. An so eine Szene kann ich mich in der Serie nicht erinnern, muss ich fairerweise sagen. Ich glaube, das wurde einfach mal übersprungen. Right as my legs had slowly got on top of me. Rimi put her index finger on my lips. She wanted me to stay quiet evidently. But doing something like this inside the store, as if she had read my mind, Rimi started giggling. Ich sag mal so, da gibt es so gewisse Sachen zu... Egal.
ここ
Nicht so wichtig.
インディーズのコーナーって 客さんあんまり来ないよね。
Oh
こ
Mann.
うしてしゃがんだら周りから見えなくなっちゃう。
Naja, sagen wir mal so, wo das zu Ähnlichkeiten hat, spielt auch nicht in einem Musikstore, sondern in einem Manga-Café, aber hey. Scheiß drauf. Und ich glaube, das hier ist älter. Würde ich vermuten. What was she implying?
タク
When we moved her face in even closer, breath stroked my cheeks. It was hot. I couldn't avert my gaze from Mimi's shimmering eyes. I could feel myself being sucked right into them. It was like I was under some magic spell. Mimi was staring straight at me, just as I was at her. As we stared at each other, Mimi's hand began to move. And then she started undoing my blazer one button at a time.
何を
Ey, ich hoffe nicht, dass ich das Ding zensieren muss. Da habe ich keinen Bock zu gerade. Und ich kann es mir eigentlich auch nicht vorstellen, muss ich ehrlicherweise sagen. Paying me no mind, Mimi's hand grabbed hold of my tie. With one pull, she unfastened it. And then she began unbuttoning my shirt.
ねえ人が来る。
そうだね。人が来たらすごくまずいよね。
Despite what she just said, Mimi's slender hands continued to move. They artfully slid beneath my shirt and onto my bare chest. Her cool hand slowly glided across my skin. What a bewitching smile. She had always been so cheerful and energetic, never once emitting any kind of sexual vibe or intention, but now the expression on her face made my heart throb.
タクの胸ドキドキしてる。
リミってテラエロス。
テラエロス？
Oh god, I had said that out loud. That alone went to show how shaken I really
それっ
was.
てどういう意味かな。教えてよ、タク。
It means you're so unbelievably sexy. Mimi's fingers steadily crept along my skin and then they traveled down my neck. It tickled. It felt better than anything I'd ever felt before.
私のこと好きにしたくなってきた。
Following my instincts, I nodded repeatedly.
じゃあここでしちゃうか。
I couldn't believe my own ears. Do it? Did she mean?
何を
Und zack, Delusion vorbei.
おーい
Hello. Suddenly I came back to myself. Oops. Rumi was waving her hand in front of my face, her eyebrows furrowing in confusion. I wasn't sitting on the floor and Rumi wasn't on top of me. We were just standing there, facing each other like people normally did.
どうしたの？急に意識がどこかに飛んじゃってたみたいだけど。
Du möchtest das lieber nicht wissen, Ribi.
なんでもない。
落ち着け。
I took a step back from me, turned my back to her and took a deep breath. Holy shit. That had been the hottest delusion of all time. I was so fucked up, not to mention a self-loathing idiot. I couldn't believe I had just thought that. Actually, no, forget it. Remy was the one who was talking about giving me something in return. You would see that line before an infinite number of age scenes. Any guy would even dipped his toe into this genre would have had his imagination go wild over it. Anyway, what was she actually planning to do for me?
その調子だと話聞いてなかったでしょう。
うん。
じゃあもう一回言うけど、私のお気に入り CD を貸すっていうので手を打ってくれないかな。
は？
ねえねえ、いいでしょ？お願いします。この通り。
あ
Life was a cruel mistress, so I suppose it was my fault for expecting anything. Come to think of it, I wasn't supposed to be into free diggers at all, yet I just had a delusion about doing that with Remy. Why? When I agreed to Remy's proposal, she delightedly struck a victory pose. That side was so amusing to me that despite the critical situation I was in, I couldn't help but laugh. I managed to make it back to base safely. Thanks to Remy, of course. One thing ended up catching me off guard, though. When we arrived, I'd asked her to wait outside while I cleaned my room, but she flat out refused.
だって前に来た時に汚いっていうのはよーくわかったし、今さら片付けたって無駄だよ。かっこつけなくてもいいって、私とタクの中でしょ？ね？
Yeah, but I wish I knew what exactly that meant. Remy was completely absent from my memory, meaning I didn't really know her. Every once in a while, I would find myself taken aback at how ridiculously friendly Remy was whenever she talked to me. It wasn't unpleasant or anything, but it only made it all the more clear how different we felt about each other. On that particular note, was Remy serious about there being no point in me cleaning my room? The floor was littered with empty boxed lunches, and the bed was piled high with eroge cases with not exactly the most safe for work cover art. Either Remy had nerves of steel, or she had no reason to feel any edge around me. But trying to figure out which it was only made me feel even more confused. Remy, unaware of how distressed I was, went to sit on the sofa looking earnestly over the lyric booklet included in the Phantasm CD. I plopped down in my chair, and the tension flooding my body left soon after. My mind was completely maxed after spending most of the day terrified, yet I wasn't feeling that exhausted. Maybe that was thanks to Remy being there.
さて、どうしようか。
Closing the lyrics booklet, Remy stretched her arms out high and sent me a smile my way. Ja. Was machst du jetzt mit dem Mädchen in deiner Wohnung bzw. in deinem Zimmer oder Container? What should we do? What were we supposed to do? She hadn't come here to hang out or anything. She just wanted me to lend her a CD. She was doing me a favor by staying with me. But what the hell were we supposed to do actually? Did we have to do anything? If we were in an eroge, we would probably jump straight into an H scene, but wait, stop, I recall, I really shouldn't be thinking about that right now. Even under the best circumstances, it was still a really tense situation, being alone in any room with a 3D girl and all. If I were to have some unwelcome delusions, I might suddenly shoot back to reality and end up saying something weird. Silence. Remy was staring vacantly at the various manga scattered on the floor and the eroge piled up on the bed. Awkward. I knew that most of the awkwardness would dissipate if I just said something. But the only subjects I could think of were video games and anime. And I doubted that Remy knew anything about either. Wouldn't it be more logical for Remy to say something? She was the one who had said she would stay with me and all. This was gonna be a bad time if she exactly expected me to lead the conversation. Jesus Christ, I really did suck with 3D girls. I was grateful to her for staying with me, but I couldn't handle the sheer, unrelenting silence. In fact, the fact that the room barely had any light was also an issue. It gave off the illusion that the room was dark for some lewd reasons. Unable to take it anymore, I turned to face my PC. I needed to look up something. I had been thinking about it at school. It might end up giving me a hint as to how I would get my hands on a D-sword. Is it possible to translate pictures in the mind to actual images, using what Senna told me about VR technology and people being electronic devices as a base? I began researching the subject.
何してるの？
Remy stood up and approached my desk. Oof, should I explain? But how to go about it? It would take forever if I told her everything.
ねえねえ、何してるか教えてよ。
Seeing no reaction from me, Remy poked me in the back with her finger. I couldn't just ignore her, right? Yeah, it would never be that easy.
君はその妄想が現実になるって信じられる？
As I entered a few keywords into the search bar, I spoke without looking at Remy. Instead, I pretended I was talking to Saratan.
妄想が現実に無理でしょう。もしそれができたら人はとっくに万能になってるよ。
That's a good point, actually. Delusions created a world in which any action, no matter how unrealistic, was possible. If they were to become reality, the unreal would become real. Unreality would become reality.
それがどうしたの？
それに近いシステムがアメリカで特許あるんだ。
冗談でしょ。
I could feel Remy's doubtful scoff on my back. So in response, I showed her the image of the patent that she had found for me.
これは？
特許の証拠写真。
本当に？
Remy leaned forward and brought her face close to the monitor. She was right up next to my face, peering intently at the screen.
私英語って苦手。すごいね、タク。英語読めるなんて。
She was way too close. She was so close I could see the glittering of her eyes as they reflected the light of the monitor. I got flustered all over again.
ねえねえ、どういうことか教えてよ。
Seemed it had piqued her interest. I tried to avoid thinking about how close she was to me and attempted to focus on Saratan and the monitor instead.
生まれながらに盲目の人でもビデオカメラみたいな映像機器を通すことでそこに映る景色が見えるようになるんだ。これ豆知識な。
ビデオカメラが目の代わりっていうこと？
そう VR 技術って言うんだよ。
へえ、もし本当だったらすごいな。
But it is. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Senna told me there's already been successful tests.
でも機械を使って目が見えるようになるのと妄想が現実になるってどうつながるの？私頭悪いからよくわかんないや。
As I explained it to me, I tried searching for a number of keywords that might have been related, but I couldn't find anything. Even so, I kept on trying and typed more and more keywords.
映像機器に映る景色も脳内で思い浮かべた妄想も電気信号だから。逆に考えるんだ。脳内に電気信号を送るんじゃなくて脳内から電気信号を送るって考えるんだ。
ほほう。
All I got were filler responses. She probably didn't understand a thing I was saying, probably. I couldn't be bothered trying to explain everything in detail, so I just stopped trying. I had to concentrate on my research. It didn't really matter if she understood it or not. After all, it was nothing more than a hypothesis I had come up with. Remy was still making noises and nodding to herself. Time to ignore her. I had been doing a whole lot of searching, but I still was unable to find any data to confirm my hypothesis. I tried taking a different approach, this time focusing my research on the patent itself. I went and checked a foreign website that Shira told me about, one that listed American patents. Once I was there, I began to look for patents that would fit what I had in mind. After following a few links, I finally found an image with a similar vibe to the one Shira had sent me. At a glance, though, the patent was clearly different from the VR apparatus one. I should read it anyway.
神経信号パルスを遠隔地からモニターし、それを映像および音声として再現する装置と方法。
おお。
That was exactly what I had had in mind. I involuntarily leaped out my chair.
これすごいぞ。
すごいの？何が？
簡単に言うとこれ他人の思考を盗撮する技術だ。
思考盗撮。
To sum it up, the audio and video people were imagining in their heads could be stolen by using a certain apparatus. Moreover, it even said that nerve impulse could be monitored from satellites. That meant it was possible to spy on subjects through thoughts no matter where they were on the planet. So weit sind wir glücklicherweise noch nicht, dass das möglich ist. Auch wenn das vielleicht in der Theorie möglich ist, praktisch sind wir glücklicherweise noch nicht an dem Punkt angelangt. Meines Wissens nach.
SF 小説とかそういう類のものなんじゃ？
特許ってそのシステム自体が完全に仕上がってないと絶対に取得できないんだって。
That had been made clear to me when I'd been looking up stuff about patents earlier.
だからこれもちゃんとシステムが確立されてるってことだよ。
This wasn't mere fiction. As long as you had the technology capabilities and the funds to build it, you could implement it at any time. Before Senna had told me that.
ある意図的な情報を神経パルスへコンバートすることが可能なら、人の五感すべて、さらには人の意志そのものもコントロールできるんじゃないか。
I couldn't find a source for that, so it remained as mere conjecture from here. However, for my own theory, there were sources. Why would something so insane not have spread all throughout Japan? This clearly deserved a Nobel Prize, if not something even bigger. I continued my search, this time looking up the mind-reading keyword. Then I found a record of a particular lawsuit from America.
また英文だ。頭痛くなってきそうだよ。
Oh man. It was a really long document, so even I had a hard time reading it. It probably would read really poorly. But I decided to use a piece of English to Japanese translation software. The contents of what was written there could be summarized like this. Legal record. Plaintiff N.K. Rabin. Defendant the United Department of Defense CIA. Plaintiff's allegation. I have become aware that my mind has been read via the use of a peculiar device. My monitored thoughts are then recorded and subsequently transferred to an unknown location using satellites. The aforementioned satellites have taken me hostage. I have been the victim of constant unending attacks regardless of the time of the day, all of which were carried out by those very satellites. Tracking, mind-reading, telepathic surveillance, monitoring of all body signals, algorithmic attacks, oral attacks, physically debilitation. Since the later 3rd of December 1990, I have been forcefully shown artificially created dreams during my sleep, some of which include video, audio, and even voices. From February to May 1992, I have fallen victim to several biorhythmical attacks, all of which served to torture me via the induction of pain and psychological harassment. Recognition that these attacks were aimed specifically toward myself beginning February of 1992, I began to record the following information in a journal. The date, time, and contents of any particular agonizing psychological attack I could remember. The biorhythmical attacks were aimed at every single region of my body. The pain, torture, and psychological harassment were coordinated in order to cause discomfort, fatigue, and agony to specific regions of my body, or in some cases my entire body. The main regions affected are as follows: chest, visual system, abdomen, brain to include sleeping disorder, brain to show me artificially created dreams.
思考監視、思考盗撮、しかも国家ぐるみ。マジ？
あ、私これ知ってる。何年か前に映画で見た。
That was fiction though, but what was written on these records very much wasn't. There were two possibilities: either the plaintiff was a total mental case, or the entire thing was factual. It was difficult to figure out where exactly the boundary between the two was. Taking into account the patent from earlier, could very well be truthful. So Senna and Ayase weren't total mental cases, particularly Ayase. Back then. Yes, it cloned herself right before my eyes. I hadn't witnessed the exact moment when it had happened. All I knew was that when I turned around, another Ayase was there, and she had been wearing lingerie for some reason. She had also shown me how she pulled her D-sword out of thin air. Ich muss gerade kurz Pause machen, mein Handy klingelt, glaube ich, gerade. Okay, keine Panik. Hab den Anruf verpasst, aber Herrn Handy sagt mir, war wohl Spam. Und solange nichts auf dem Anrufbeantworter ist, kann mich da mal am Arsch vorbeigehen, wenn ich die Nummer nicht kenne und das Handy schon sagt, dass Spam ist. Dann glaube ich nicht, dass das irgendwie wichtig ist. It had been neither a hallucination nor a delusion. After showing me something like that, there was no way I could still label her as a mental case. However, Ayase had also said this. That strange phenomenon. Had it been my delusion coming to fruition? Admittedly, right before it happened, I had been pondering about the color of Ayase's underwear. Maybe that was what Ayase had been talking about when she mentioned the power. A power that projected delusions into reality. Maybe I had that power. Jo, kicken wir uns die nächste rein. No, I was probably just jumping to conclusions. It was a total stretch to think that a psychic ability existed just because a system using scientific means was able to reproduce delusions as images. But what if the method to obtain a D-sword was by using such psychic ability? So let's suppose I had the ability within me. It might have been worth a try. Ich bin gerade am Überlegen, aber dürfte er sein D-Sword nicht eigentlich erst... Also wenn ich es richtig im Kopf habe, bekommt er sein D-Sword erst um einiges später. Ich bin mir aber gerade nicht sicher. Leaving Remy to stare at the PC screen with Albert's sword, I picked up the toy D-Sword sitting in the corner of my room. I went to stand in the center of my room and brought my sword to eye level like I was an ESO character. I closed my eyes. I tried to conjure the image of a sword in my mind. I naturally imagined it to be something similar to the beautiful, sinister swords that Senna and Ayase had, each complete with a sharpness that could sever anything it touched. Having delusions was my specialty. After all, I had all sorts of delusions on a daily basis. If I wanted to, I could recreate every single detail both vividly and clearly in my head. Once the image wasn't as precise as it was going to get, I planted my feet, gritted my teeth, and tried grasping the sword within the power I now held in my hands. Become real, become real, become real. I prayed inside my head, devoting all my thoughts towards that one single wish. What am I holding? It's a real D-sword. It's no fake. It's real. I infused the strength of my entire being into the blade. Come, reveal yourself. Grant me salvation, protect me. I slowly opened my eyes. The sword I was holding hadn't changed whatsoever. It was still the same cheap-ass toy.
そりゃそうだよな。
There was no such thing as an evil eye as quick psychic power that turned delusions into reality. It was way too chuny. What was I, 5? I felt ashamed to have ever thought I had such a power. Heaving alongside, I lowered my sword, but right as I did, I sensed a gaze behind me. I could feel chills on the back of my neck, goosebumps rose across the entirety of my body. The gaze again. That was a clear sign that right at that moment someone was watching me. Don't look at me. I wasn't gonna turn around like I would ever turn around. Not only had I sensed a presence, but I heard a voice as well. Though, to be precise, it hadn't exactly been a voice, it had been closer to a whisper. Don't tell me, I might have made a terrible mistake. I slowly, ever so slowly turned around. And there was Rumi staring right at me. So that was it. No wonder the sense of presence had been more intense than usual. Granted, that only made sense considering I wasn't just feeling like I was being watched, I was being watched. That was definitely going to get confusing. Oh god, had Rumi seen me go full Chernobyl, brandishing a sword and all that from start to finish, I was gonna die from embarrassment. Except something was off about her. Rumi sprang forward and she stared at me without blinking even once. However, it wasn't me she was looking at, but the object I held, the toy D sword. Why did she look so serious? It felt like she was an entirely different person from the one that had been getting all confused about patterns earlier. Aber ich würde sagen, an dem Punkt beende ich hier die Folge. Vielen Dank fürs Zuschauen und bis zum nächsten Mal.